Good morning once more, and thank you for staying with us. Let's settle for the news. And in our first story, the minority in Parliament says the only way investors and the international community will regain confidence in Ghana's economy is if Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is relieved of his duty. Making their presentation before the 8-member ad hoc committee to look into the grounds contained in the minority's motion of censure, Minority spokesperson on finance, Dr. Cassie Latoforson, said the current economic woes of the country were due to the incompetence of the finance minister. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante now reports.
A hearing full of heated arguments and forceful presentations. The minority set out to brand Ken Ofori-Atta as the minister who must not continue in his current role as the finance minister. Counsel for the finance minister, Gabi Asare-Okyere objected to the manner in which the minority were handling their evidence.
And it would not be fair to the Minister of Finance to be ambushed and right here, without any preparation, to start answering questions. The documents are fine, but before we even be able to look into the documents, we want the charges to be complete with the particulars. That's all we're asking.
Minority leader Haruna Idrisu described the minister as incompetent, the sole reason for country's current economic predicament.
2017, $1 was to 4.2 Ghana cedis. Today, $1 is 15 Ghana cedis. That has meaning for businesses in Ghana. The cost of doing business is unacceptably high for businesses. The pharmaceutical industry is complaining because it affects their imports and they are made to pay more. The depreciation of the cedi has affected even Makwala women who cannot trade effectively.
Dr. Cassie Latoforson said the minister had breached the fiscal responsibility law and has also misreported data to Parliament.
So if you breach it by 1 percentage point, then obviously the vote of censure may trigger. What we have seen is that over the years, even though the minister responsible for finance has been presenting some economic data to Parliament, in the year 2018, Mr. Chairman, you can see it on the board, our minister responsible for finance and the government had said to Parliament that the fiscal deficit was 3.9% of GDP. In fact, in the year 2018, the reason why they said it's 3.9% of GDP was that a key expenditure worth 9.8 billion Ghana cedis was excluded from the fiscal accounting. They treated it below the line. And this has to do with the financial sector payment. The law was passed on the 28th of December 2018, and by December 31st, 2018, the minister has breached the fiscal responsibility rules already. So 3 days down the line, there was a deficit of 1.8. And that is why we are saying that the trend for the censorship motion moved in the year 2018. In fact, if we were to go by it, somebody could have brought the motion to censure the minister in the year 2018 or 2019 because he breached the rules. And to my surprise, these are rules that were set by the minister himself when this bill, he brought the bill to Parliament for a reason. The reason is to ensure fiscal sustainability and debt sustainability. If you breach these rules, it has long-term repercussion on the Ghanaian economy. And today, we are seeing what is happening. So, Chairman, I tender this one to in evidence.
There was an intense back and forth between Gabi Asare-Okyere, his lawyer for Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, and North Tongue MP Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who is a member of the 8-member ad hoc committee.
Mr. Chairman, we object to this strongly. If he can hold a press conference to deal with those matters, but I think that we are here for a specific reason. Grounds have been stated. Let's stick to that. You know, we are not here for it's not a political platform to make some political pronouncements. These are serious allegations. Please.
He will not teach me how to do my work in Parliament.
No,
this is Parliament. You won't teach me how to do my work.
Let me finish.
No, he can't come here
and throw his weight about. He can't teach me how to do my work. I take strong exception that I should go and hold a press conference. Please.
I'm only 78 kilos. I'm not going to throw it about.
Please. I won't accept that.
Yes.
And you are not the chair. You don't tell members of parliament what to do.
That's fine. So, I mean, we appreciate the point you make.
I will do my work. I'm not going to hold a press conference. You will not teach me how to do my work.
Well, following those feisty interactions, let's talk about the National Network Coordinator of the West African Network for Peace Building, Albert Yeliang, who has announced that at the back of the conflicts and violence that go on during elections, WANEP is meeting all stakeholders to deliberate on how to maintain peace and stability in anticipation of the coming elections. He says there are some emerging threats that will be possible agents of violence in the 2024 elections. There's more in this report.
During every election, people die due to electoral activities. Statistics have shown that 8 lives were claimed in the 2020 election. To prevent further occurrence, WANEP, in partnership with the National Center for the Coordination of Response Mechanism, organized a stakeholders session to strengthen partnerships for the prevention of conflict and violence in elections in Ghana. Speaking at the multi-stakeholder event, Albert Yeliang revealed there are shreds of threats that have the tendency to breach the 2024 election security.
It is very exciting, the information that is coming out from all these multi-stakeholders, and how the cross-cutting issues that we are already identifying and how we can have the details of these cross-cutting issues. Then see, based on that, the strategies that we can develop. Because the next stage that we are going to do here is to come up with some strategies, already begin to tease them out. Then as we go behind the scenes, the consultations with other stakeholders, inform stakeholders, and those agencies that have mandates and capacity to also work in this area of elections and security, that we take all that into consideration in the planning so that when we come out with a strategy that is comprehensive enough and addressing the threats that we have identified. For instance, the National Center for the Coordination of Early Warning, has its data. WANEP has its data. There are other CSOs that have their data. The national security would also have their data. Everyone, we want to see how do we expand the discussion on the indicators that we need to monitor and then be able to react to the threats that may be arising out of these indicators. So basically, this is a strategy. And one key thing that we want to be engaging on is how does the National Peace Council, for instance, that's the encouragement from this forum, lead discussions that build consensus, and then also informing or communicating to various agencies, election management bodies, so that in their own strategies and implementations, how they will respond to some of the concerns of the stakeholders. Because at the end of it, we want a peaceful 2024 elections, despite the challenges. Then we'll say, yet again, Ghana has done it.
Speaking to JoyNews, some stakeholders who were present shared how they intend to ensure peace and stability in the coming election.
There are several proposals to be considered by the Electoral Commission, and the Commission is actually looking at all the proposals that came after the 2020 elections. And last year, we had a meeting with the political parties, and one of the proposals that stood out strongly has to do with the closing time, which Commission, through engagement with its partners, the political party and the civil society organizations, arrived at 3 p.m. And the thinking is that if closing can be done at 3 p.m., it will give a lot of time for the counting of the ballots at the polling stations and also the counting at the collation centers, where we have all the polling station results in each constituency going to the collation center. So counting can be done early.
Now, Director of the Akakpo Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Kwejo Mafo Obeng, is asking government to see mental health as a national security issue. Speaking of the handing over of a refurbished male ward of the hospital by Enterprise Life, Dr. Mafo called for support for psychiatric institutions in the country, as many of such institutions continue to struggle to support mental health patients. There's more in this report.
Those of you on this side of the table and some of you on that side of the table know the deplorable state this ward was in. This was an eyesore, a stain on the reputation of the hospital, and it was where the majority of our male patients were staying.
The director of the Akakpo Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Kwejo Obima, for shedding light on how deplorable the male ward was.
If you saw the conditions that the ward was in, it will be amazing to you that anybody could come here for any mental disorder, let alone depression, and get well. You know, I think it's a testament to the amount of hard work that the people on this side of the table did, that anybody ever recovered in the structure that was here. So it really means a lot to us that this was the work that was done.
Dr. Mafo indicates that a good working environment contributes to the healing of patients and also serve as a motivating factor to the healthcare givers. He expressed the hospital's gratitude to the enterprise group for being the brain and helping hand behind the refurbishments.
We couldn't even imagine, dream, hope that anything like this could happen here. We deeply appreciate it. People living with mental illness have historically lacked access to care, the care and support that they have desperately needed. And when they have received the support, it has been of insufficient quality. Like I've said before, the state of this ward prior to renovation is a testament to that fact. The fact that anybody was asked to receive care in that environment is a stain on the reputation of this hospital and this country. It must be said, however, that the government has made significant efforts in helping to improve access to mental health service through the Ministry of Health. However, in order for us to make progress in our continuing bid to provide sustainable quality mental health care, we need all stakeholders to come on board to spare conversations and take action on mental health. Mental health is not just a health issue. It's a health issue, it's a social welfare issue, it's a security issue. It affects all aspects of our lives, and all of us are touched by mental health in one way or the other. We all need to get on board if we're going to get the change we need to see.
Group CEO of the enterprise group, Kelly Gajepo, said the project was the largest mental health project the company has ever done. He expressed the pride of the group for its contribution to improving mental health care.
So this hospital specializes in an area which is particularly disadvantaged and especially misunderstood. Many people suffering varying forms of mental health conditions have been largely neglected, and we all know that. Mental health facilities are unable to provide sustainable mental health for patients due to many reasons, including deteriorated facilities, lack of funding, inadequate personnel, etc., etc. In addition to all these challenges, mental illness in Ghana is plagued by stigma that often extends even to the healthcare providers themselves. Thank you for your invaluable sacrifice, Akakpo Director, members of the Akakpo Hospital. It is because of the work that people like you do that make it easy for people like us at Enterprise to meet you at your point of need.
A member of the enterprise group, Fleswood Nate, intimated that the group has over the years shown interest in mental health and has partnered with many companies to support mental health institutions in the country.
The Council for Scientific and Industrial Research will be embarking on research activities to rid the country of soil acidity. The Director General, Professor Paul Bosu, says the move has become necessary as the situation threatens food security in the country. He was speaking at the 273rd Directors Management Committee meeting and staff durbar at Kwadaso.
Soil acidity has been known to impede crop production as it further limits the availability of nutrients such as phosphorus to plants. Dr. Edward Yabua is Director of Soil Research Institute.
When you have low soil acidity, you realize that the nutrients are not readily available for the crop to take. Even though you supply the nutrients, it's still not available for the crop to make use of. And we are all aware of the primary macronutrients, which we talked about, the nitrogen, the phosphorus, and then the potassium. if these nutrients are even adequate in the soil and you have acidity, the plant is still not able to absorb it. So it's quite important for us to address the acidity problem that is emerging across the country. Plants have a narrow range of pH that they are able to take the nutrients. Anything within the range of less than 4.5 of pH is a challenge for the crops to make use of the nutrients available.
The Director General of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Professor Paul Busu, hinted at the establishment of the CSIR Endowment Fund to support research activities.
The Endowment Fund, CSIR, our research, is largely funded from external sources. And, if somebody is funding you from outside, you are at the beck and call of his programs and what he can give you and at what time. And so we realized that in addition to what government is trying to put in place by way of the National Research Fund and others, internally we also need to start something so that we'll be able to create a fund that at least support us when we are in a period where we are not getting sustainable funding from donors and other places. So essentially, that's what our idea of a CSI Endowment Fund is about. We're going to launch it next year, and we're going to do everything, donors, philanthropists, ourselves. Some of the monies that we generate from commercial activities, even some of the monies we generate from donors, some of our overheads, we are sensitizing staff, and the goodwill is good, so that we'll be able to build something that we can put down and use the proceeds to support research.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Debra.
Well, there's a question. Does the Member of Parliament for Adansia Sokwa, Kobina Tahir Hammond, buy fuel or not? 2 weeks ago, he announced that he nearly fought at a fuel station because of the high fuel cost. At a committee hearing, a motion of vote of censure against the finance minister, he said he did not buy fuel. Jojo Kobina has been wondering which of the statements citizens should take seriously.
To say that high fuel cost in Ghana is becoming unbearable is an understatement. Diesel and petrol are the two key drivers of Ghana's current inflation rate of 40.4%. Inflation for diesel is 155.6%, which is 4 times the average inflation. Petrol is now 111.9%. That is about 3 times the average inflation. That is the main reason why transport fares are up. It also accounts for the high cost of groceries and other goods. The impact of high fuel cost is being felt in the pockets of many Ghanaians.
We have to start working because any day, any time, the fuel price is going up. And right now, we don't know what to do now. So we have to start packing our cars and start working.
My transportation cost me 25 cedis a day, before about 15 cedis. So how do you survive? When the work comes, it's like there is pressure on you, but when it's gone, that is all. Or when you're done with that is all. You spend all your money, you can't even buy anything. You can't even save because
So when MP for Adansia Sokwa, Katie Hammond, addressed the media in Parliament recently that he nearly picked a fight with a fuel attendant, many Ghanaians felt that at least members of Parliament were also roasting in Ghana's economic heat.
I went to the garage, pumped the fuel into the car, and the bloke came up and gave me a bill. It was almost a third world war at the garage, at the station. Why is he giving me this? He said just yesterday the price of diesel, the price of super moved to what the price of diesel used to be. Diesel is now 20 whatever. I was about complaining to a colleague in the profession a day after, and he said to me, don't worry about that. It's going to go to 23 this evening. And it's a particularly difficult situation. What is it that led to this? What is to be done? It's a difficult situation.
However, at a committee hearing a motion of censure against Finance Minister Kenny Foriata, Kobina Tahir Hammond made a U-turn.
Chairman, on hardship, I'm sure you yourself, you pay for fuel, you buy fish.
I don't buy fuel, so don't talk about it. I don't buy fuel. I don't have a car, I don't buy fuel.
When we allege here that there's excruciating hardships and people...
This is a departure from his first statement.
The bloke came up and gave me a bill. It was almost a third world war at the garage, at the station.
I'm sure you yourself, you pay for fuel, you buy fish.
I don't buy fuel, so don't talk about it.
So does Katie Hammond buy fuel or not? Or could it be that he just started using an electric car? But he said he has no car. Did he sell his car? Or was he just kidding? Jojo Kobna, Joy News.
Well, on that very interesting note, we cap off at the AM News. Coming up next, the News Review. Joining me, Dr. Kwame Asante of the University of Ghana. Do stay.